Hello, America, YouTube, and the species value nature system. This is a video about how to heal the species value nature system. This is a video about how to make active the human immune system for our species body of value. I'm not a doctor, not a police force, not a criminal. It's recorded originally and still how the delusions and how the criminally foreign influenced identity ground locations were and are effectively used to keep each identity of law, criminally foreign influence, delusions, or our victim predators. So one plan here is to, for example, imagine, so in other words, if just one state takes 1,000, sets out 1,000 positions to temporarily house people for free, and to make sure those people have value it. It's like it's not a trap. In other words, it's not a torture when they go there, especially because we have people in forsaken contexts of humanity where you can't defend roles with that while pretending to be about integrity here and there. Worse than forsaken in relationship to what torture is really about. Since before then they were used as victim predator reactions to the World Trade Center attack to play more racketeering roles with torture, pretending to be against it. They have uses, they have defenses of identities originally and still. Fact, cheap in nature wise, used to keep things like wars, things like the threat of wars, things like threats tied to the concentrated values with the concentrated value of the campus systems tied to the Republic. Means by them revealed by the ancients since before modern religions messengers. That is what is most scientifically probable. Not by accident, they left out and recorded themselves as self-valuing modern nations, self-valuing how sciences have been criminally foreign influence delusions wrought in some ancient times. Roles with each identity, the ground location, with laws that are criminally foreign influenced, self-valued as identities. Value has a relationship to positive and negative. Positive, everywhere positive and negative is. Identity's complete nature, its complete nature of relationship to itself as a semi-nature is how it is semi-natures two ways, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Now, I didn't read this, but there are proofs the ancients. This is exactly why and how yin yang has that small circle part inside the circle with the two black and white parts as the individual nature of volume, male and female, simultaneously though, as one identity of value progression. There is also the value of them simultaneously. That's the individual nature of volume. Grouped is the other sides, and the individual nature of volume, grouped inseparable from it. And the complete nature of volume, they are together, yin yang, the whole thing together. The same way humanity is individual, grouped in species, nature of volume. Now, so just by saying, even if we set out, it's not even a problem to do this if we're all on the same page. More than 1,000 people, more than 1,000 locations, just in Connecticut will help. So that's 50,000 places. We could have to host 50,000 families for a period of time where we could use that to bring reliefs to people just forced to keep going with positive treatments like for value treatments, for identity treatments in relationship to the jobs, in relationship to the economy's identity, is recorded a effectively breaching method maintains self-value criminally for an influenced entity. Delusions wrought. This is per methods that each modern nation needs to do this at once. We have to do this within as pantheism. To defend nations from this, military means are not enough. They are recorded in collusion. Our intermilitary is effectively having been maintained criminally for and influenced per their roles with this racketeering intercampuses tied on and off of it. They make roles with the on-campuses racketeering uses of, worse than racketeering, uses of the databases crimes. For on and off campuses, further and further juxtaposed more and more, roles with lie progressions, roles with this other method of racketeering that has it, each of the identity. They said we have 17 agencies. They have each of them recorded delusions wrought, criminally for and influenced. They want to have debate about that, leaving out their sequence shifts, leaving out their offensive racketeering methods, pretending people make conspiracy theories, attaching them to fake words that way. Well, I don't remember. It didn't make sense. I didn't understand the person. I say simple sentences to people. So then they lie about, they say, well, they use for evidence is what's online. These are the same people involved interbranch with racketeering, lying about what is actually recorded over the phones, lying about what is actually recorded over the mail, right through administrations. This is right intermilitary, inter-Air Force families, like a Paul Kelly. Recorded, confessed, I don't know him. I barely know him. He's one of the people I barely know, only in context that I recorded, confessed, demonstrated. His roles with all along routes and with the top of hills, corner houses, involved with racketeering, on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU, with people I don't know the names of. People forging names and switching names with deans, with their family members, with their colleagues. They have the identities pulled in this way. With the forging name switching, now they can't follow mandated law. Now they can't pretend to be about integrity. Now they can't pretend to be about positive for their students, while they have to pretend to be other, in collusion, fit and kept that way. There's a whole bunch of people with Trinity College involved with a Joshua Stryker. I never had a conversation with him. There's a Joshua Julian, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with courts with racketeering uses of their Facebook pages, with racketeering uses of the Facebook pages of campuses of each age and nature connected with racketeering through time. There is also Eric Oliveri, and is a DeMoro family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with racketeering uses of World Trade Center attack victims. They used in their narratives where they have everyone speaking about things. They're not supposed to give away their investigative techniques. They're not supposed to give away, which they do because they record, confess, demonstrate their racketeering uses of their identity ground locations. They have the FBI of the New Haven FBI. Especially, they have distinctly and non-distinctly the women and men interbranch with criminal uses of the value of men, of what men are valued distinctly and non-distinctly and simultaneously with women, which is only valued positive onto itself when it is onto its system. What is true always, not denying exceptions, using truth and exceptions and exception nature at the same time in relationship to that one identity of value progression that is inseparable from all questions. For example, evolution's questions. What's real? It doesn't work without ground. What was engineered as throughout modern nations, the infrastructure of cities, the people stacking, the justifications of it, uses of the lie progressions of it, in collusion, all private, interbranch, in collusion with that criminally foreign influenced, each location, area, and state, each science of each modern nation, each database relationship, private, service, all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this. This keeps knaves pretending they are other victim predators. So they're holding their heads and they're asking the questions on CNN right now regarding their treatments of readings of statutes and of precedents with criminal foreign influence and with physical delusions. With that already having been self-valued, already their roles with cases of all kinds of racketeering evil, originally and still. What motivated roles with slavery? What motivated roles with witch trials? What motivates roles with that, with self-value to date, blamed on other things other than themselves, while they're obfuscating it, self-value obfuscating it, preventing us free speech from demonstrating what is true always, not denying exceptions, like that, and how logic doesn't use black, and pretend not to realize if it's pretending to speak for our founders, if it's pretending to speak for the sciences. See, but that's not what we had. We had Jim Crow laws entertained then and now, all victim predators, all locations, areas, and states, styles of pretending other, forced as the only ones allowed to be the help of presidents, the parties themselves, their identities grouped, criminally foreign influence delusions raw. These aren't opinions. The proofs of it are sequence shifts. The proofs of it are racketeering on off their locations, lying about what is actually recorded over Facebook, lying what is actually recorded over the mail, lying about what is actually recorded in real life. These courts, these police forms have racketeering roles with all everything that happened bad with areas, locations, states, all of them. See, the victim predators. The only way to counter this, these are identity the ground locations. The only way to defend Ukraine, the only way to defend America, the only way to defend Russia is to counter this pathology of infrastructure recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the fact, cheating nature, torture of and slavery of America's founding parents, of Russia's founding parents, of China's founding parents, of Japan's founding parents, of each modern nation's founding parents, native pure, where it counts, but no longer native. Now identities other, individually grouped and together victims for the specific victim predator reactions, for the specific victim reactions invested originally still had to be hid. Increasingly, unceasingly, sequentially, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity theft, frauds, racketeering, lies. So we have to have mandated law followed. What already didn't criminally allow mandated law is also Congress's roles with racketeering before and then in the World Trade Center attack context, fake sides. Uses of that now too, because they're still needed to hide it, still pretending to be about integrity. Hundreds of nations can punish each other with sanctions in relationship to organized crime treatments, in relationship to predicate act treatments, needs to counter them originally still associated with the witch trials, especially if made up. Every time they open their mouths about things like witch trials, Jim Crow laws, not one person knows how to speak because they're victim predators. They're awe, they're shock and awe. Fit them with it, make the shock and awe on the other people now, because those are fake sides. They don't know how to counter it. So they counter it as sides. And so they only semi-counter it because they know that they're fake sides forced. Saudi Arabia didn't want to get involved with what the Quran itself is demonstrating all locations, areas, and states, nations forced grouped with the group value of the Arabic language, for example, with the sequence value of the Quran, it's prevented free speech because the identities of locations, areas, and states and sciences are involved with sequence racketeering, involved with pretending other as identities of jobs, titles as the identity of humanity. So that needs to pretend other as a styles of liars, as criminal and seditious natures that need whoever becomes leader, no matter how powerful you get, you better stay in collusion with them. All locations, areas, states, sciences, criminally foreign influence, all private database relationships juxtaposed with their line progressions, uses of them by that originating still. All that maintained manifest with that. All that maintained manifest with that was engineered before while being with the value systems that engineered this pathology of human infrastructure, of means to it, of justifications of it, where and as and how it counts. Everything about us is where and as and how we are. Quality of fact, treatment, nature, invisible but still discernible. History treatments is bonded. History is about bonded subjects, invisible but still discernible. They're inseparable, increasing, unceasingly invaluable, increasingly valuable too. Their identity of relationship to itself, those subjects. Their identity of relationship to the female nature that comes with them. Another nature of invisible but still discernible. We take one subject in a subject, in a sentence or a compound subject. It has to come with a verb. Only a verb can stand alone as a subject and as a verb. And only when its complete nature of relationship to itself is unobstructed. Run! Run. A verb. That could be a one-word sentence. Now running. Now it can't be used as a sentence. Now the identity of the verb changes. Everything is about identity. It's about identity's identity of relationship to itself and the value of that as a nature of volume. Per this system, why we are a species in the first place. Per science, real. For the science of the identity between the sciences, real. Not the one just because it's the identity of the ground location. It's the one connected to the jobs. It's the one connected to the jobs that deal with the child campuses, no, at the same time. Colleges and universities involved with overt criminal enterprises, private ones in collusion, military, foreign, and domestic. Uses of this roles with identity racketeering. Whole bunch of military police involved with racketeering. Uses of the sense and sensibilities of Barack Obama and of Mr. Biden on off Central Connecticut State University, on off Trinity College, on off UPS. Involved with them with sequence racketeering too, because this is before I went to UPS to verify this, which this is where everyone tells lies. But I verified it's actually recorded. See, we have agencies that lie about what is actually recorded because they're defending identities. Originally and still, they had no rights, no means to defend them without further investing themselves roles, breaching method roles. So we have whole forsaken areas. We have whole value nature systems and justifications of them. You can't defend and counter what really causes negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures like predicate acts, like wrongdoers, like wrongdoing. What really causes the shootings with the north end of Hartford, with New Haven, Connecticut. These are roles with on-off Yale College, on-off Trinity College, CCSU, on-off UConn, on-off Wesleyan. UConn and Wesleyan are associated with all kinds of racketeering with each of the sciences. For example, with criminal justice. For example, with training the leaderships of prisons that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with various natures of courts and their families with crimes with child sex offenders, medical offenders, identity thefts, mail crimes, wire crimes, sequence shifts, racketeering with the news, uses of where this racketeering method originally excuse me, still criminal uses of readings of statutes for their roles with, in other words, they're supposed to give the benefit of the doubt to people with titles. When there's a conflict, you're not sure who to believe. So they're with crime methods with areas so they can get that outcome in a court at that point of dealings with courts. So they could hide their racketeering roles with all the bad things that happen. They're setting up innocent people still, and they're still attaching people who maybe did wrong to more and more fake lies attached to all truths, while they're attaching just complete truth, fake things against them. This is the value of our statutes, our precedents. They're the precedents, and these are people who want to debate this offensively, criminally. They want to do it through comparison. They want to say, "Well, I would be the only reason America's great. One of the best, one besides James Madison, and Native Americans. They did damage control to what modern nations were already locked into from semi-ancient times. They did damage control to everyone blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things other than themselves. Even Native Americans had to do this. Time reasons. Taking away their original long words. Preserved understandings and memories of how things work. They tactically denatured the plant species. They tactically denatured the identity of the earth and its identity of relationship to itself, consciously, methodically attaching on top of that, tactically denatured modern nations' fact-keeping nature foundation, zoning laws, relationships to it, the pathology of homes and means to them, the pathology of infrastructure that grew out of that. Even now we have cars, still have that self-value. That which was involved pathology of homes means to them. Zoning laws worse than semi-unsafe, as those only laws and law-making bodies capable of keeping us safe, because they were rules with a breaching method. That's what put color in the law. It's because this is a fact-keeping nature racketeering method. This is an identity thefts, frauds, and racketeering method. That's what put colors with the law. That's what prevents free speech from demonstrating. Someone tries to say, okay, use logic with no criminal foreign influences. So they're going to say, okay, you know how they're going to try to establish truths. They're going to say, you know how it's unnatural for anyone to want to do slavery. Then someone jump in. Oh, of course. Well, if it's natural, if it's unnatural, why would it be? See, because we have identities of law that are worse than obfuscating how criminal foreign influence is. That's how it was. That was unnatural. That, in other words, it forced everyone to deny our nature's course, our nature's nature, that which we are semi-nature relationship to, that's where we're and how we are complete identity of volume. Can't help but simultaneously being a semi-nature with grouped and with the species body of volume, and with the value of that increasing. Note how the rest of space nature has no criminal foreign influences. To defend America, to defend Russia, to defend Ukraine, we have to part them from the racketeering they are in collusion with together. For example, with psychology. They are racketeering with the branches of government individually grouped together. All 17 agencies are recorded involved with racketeering acts, physical delusions with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, with sequence shifts with them. All kinds of racketeering with uses of Mueller and of Comey, uses of them defending their roles with sequence shifts. Congress itself, uses of their racketeering method of pretending to be against the extortion of other nations outside of channels already recorded, confessed, and demonstrated delusions wrought in collusion with these other nations and or ready for wars, things like that, to counter, oh, that's our ally. There are no fake sides. Who they're calling enemies like Russia, they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated right through administrations, racketeering with them with databases, racketeering with them with child sex offenders, racketeering with them with medical racketeering. We have courts involved with all kinds of drug crimes, formal and informal, forging names, switching sequences, crimes with Facebook pages, on and off campuses. We have male and female judges with all kinds of racketeering with children, with their families before they were prosecutors and judges. They were involved with racketeering. Or before the prosecutors were prosecutors, retired and standing judges were involved with racketeering with databases with them, stealing people's identities, speaking categorically fake things to male and females who go on to be positions with colleges and universities, with child campuses that are in collusion with each other. They're stacking those names, for example. Now, while they're not following mandated law, when they make an opinion in the back, they have an officer Poison recorded delusions wrought, racketeering acts, roles with New Britain Superior Court, with online police, with their Facebook pages, with the Facebook pages of child sex offenders, with UConn and with Central Connecticut State University and with Trinity College, with racketeering right through administrations with them, self-valued by Mr. Biden. You should change. You can't defend your positions and us from what exploits uses of everyone's identity. Therefore, President Obama's chief, where it's important, because that's what we are only valued where it's native pure. For this system, that is, it's our complete nature of relationship to itself. That and how and why we are individual grouped together. That's where we are semi-nature. That's where its complete nature is our identity's course. No matter who you are, you want and need fresh water. So these aren't our means. Oh, give them javelins, we're experts. We know that we have these type of weapons and stuff like that. So you'll ask us. We have all kinds of people associated with military families, like military police, all kinds of identity theft racketeering with the locations on off CCSU, training foreign and domestic, the territory of Puerto Rico, dozens and dozens of people just with New Britain Superior Court, dozens of people involved with racketeering, uses of each age of campus with them. Then they pretend, oh, we're about the kids. They're going to go off campuses with the mega education, and we're with the radio station, the Puerto Rican flag parade. They have that all involved with racketeering, all kinds of justice racketeering, acts already, methods already recorded against each age of fact treatment nature. Respond for them. They need to pretend people are judging others cruelly, not honestly, because that's not a real fact. They have fact treatments that are criminally foreign influence originally still. We need federal stewardships of Connecticut. Interstate, we need this. We need federal stewardships. If they can't admit it and do it to themselves, take federal stewardships of themselves, because that's what's needed originally and still. We need to have mandated law followed. Congress is using their treatments with these narratives to hide their racketeering uses of identity ground locations, like with UPS, with FedEx, uses of their identities and their identity of relationships to locations like at the end of the Burlington, like at the end of the Burlington Turnpike, end of Town Line Road, mobile gas station, all along that route, South Steen Highway, all along Walker Hill Road, corners, houses on the corner, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering with AT&T. Since before the people that were involved with it, with Washington Connect as adults, with Washington D.C. and with World Trade Center racketeering with them. As the people further involved, racketeering uses the victims. See, those uses of it, if you try to describe it, but I want to speak through that about them through other people the way they want to speak about me, shows them as victim predators. But why would I want? See, they want me to call people like the Keens I've never had a conversation with. All exceptions recorded, confessed, and demonstrated have been orchestrated to use criminally. These are people with roles with that location. We have met a whole bunch of women, like with a woman with red hair, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated associated with soccer, and with courts and prisons tied to them with medical racketeering also on off the campuses, uses of corners. They know you're jogging, you're gonna come around this corner. They're trying to make it look like people had problems, real sneaky things, which is also worse than harassment and torture, because they're also torturing me not to say anything since before the World Trade Center attack, stacking racketeering acts against me and others. They attached Saudis to their racketeering with Kuwaiti, with their racketeering with other people, with deans and their family members, on and off CCSU, on and off the locations around it, intercities involved with them. We have an apartment in Rocky Hill on the South Steen Highway associated with a Phil Cololo that is involved with people on and off Central Connecticut State University, involved with judges retired and standing. His extended family members, as one of the houses in my area, further involved with them, with two Mendez police, with a whole bunch of DeMoros in the police, with racketeering on and off the Wethersfield Police Department, with racketeering on and off the Britain Superior Court through time, other courts, their roles with the Delafair family, with racketeering, identity thefts, sequence shifts, forging falsified police reports roles, wire crime roles, mail crime roles, uses of their roles with fire departments, training of fire department campuses, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, their roles with racketeering with people all along Griswold Street with the corners. I don't know them. So respond for them, because these are people involved with racketeering with Russians too, not just Ukrainians. They're involved with the same exact racketeering uses of our locations. So what if 50 states set out 1,000 places in the state? We could not just clean up. Is not what this is built to keep negative value nature progressions, action natures, that fake integrity needs to keep blamed on other things others themselves. This is that racketeering method from off all database relationships, like the sciences especially, like the branches of government especially, simultaneously, originally and still, kept needing to hide the same life progressions together. Keep needing to hide from and to hurt each age of correlation nature's means by that. And with that identity of volume we are that is greater than ourselves. As the one that wants us, when we're valuing that honestly, to value individuals first. See, they want to value their identities and titles first. They're preventing mandated law. We have various natures of Connecticut courts and their family members sickly involved with juxtaposed many natures of racketeering, criminal readings of statutes, criminal readings of sequence, fabrications of evidences already through time with other nations. Can't just, so they want to be called out. now because they're already with the other nations inclusion. They have all the identity of the ground locations. They have a whole bunch of people with an Oliveri family and with a Stryker family further involved with World Trade Center racketeering, with these DeMauros, with a Chris Cullen, with a former Mayor Gold, standing and retired mayors and their families involved racketeering, also with evidences, with forensics locations, crimes with drugs with them, with kids, with each age of fact cheating nature. There are people with the Juul cigarettes involved with it, with a Gold family, also with racketeering with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, WTNH. Their roles with racketeering all along routes and highways. Their roles racketeering uses of insurance police. Then they're going to defend their investigations. Their roles with value treatments, sequence racketeering. Their roles with the various natures of courts making the wrong outcomes on purpose. Worse than that, originally still. So they have no integrity. They have this victim theater, victim predator reaction that went for titles and jobs because their parents, the people who educated them, made them blame other things other than themselves for the evil that is upon each individual. Even if you become a pharaoh, you're going to have state locations, areas, and states standing live progression cover-up natures, standing live progressions from each database relationship. The Republic was revealed as a database relationship. The Campus Marcia system was revealed as a database relationship in ancient times, before semi-ancient criminal re-engineering of that and of the original nature of human relations. Tactically, that's what's most probable. And what the evidence is the evidence too is that with scientific consensus, scientific processes recorded self-valued criminally foreign influenced delusions raw, not by accident. So we have means to capture, not criminally capture, but to reveal shock and awe that is positive, as evidence of shock, as evolutions, fruits and gifts. See, maturity feels like games, but we have fake maturity natures. And so they need to speak like this. They need to pretend that they have credibility where they have none. They have to value offensively each age of fact cheating nature, having the identity the sciences share worse than obfuscated, uses of interbranch kids in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, with the private with them, but actually involved with them with actual racketeering acts with those criminal enterprises, with little kids too. Further, with the principal sex offenders campus, we have prosecutors that use their kids to hide their racketeering acts against me and others, actually recorded before that, while that, and further, as people being coached. Wethersfield Police Chief's daughter was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the Wethersfield Police Chief, and retired and standing police involved with them, with houses in my area, further with human trafficking acts with them, with WFSB, WTNH, Fox Connecticut News. Their roles with on and off the locations of WFSB on Broad Street, in Rocky Hill, too. All along the routes that go and roads that go by there. People involved with racketeering with them also on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off the buildings right next to it, and then around the club area through time. A whole bunch of people associated with a Mark Violet and a Mike Violet recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with people at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, with Cedar Hill Cemetery, the gravestone place right at the middle of the end of the Berlin Turnpike, and the golf course right across the street, where those three are connected there. Those are people involved with identity thefts, fake conversations with me, sequence shifts, their roles with falsified police reports, medical racketeering, foreign and domestic. These are also people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they involved Soto family with their racketeering. Also, Newtown, Sandy Hook, crimes with child campuses, as the people involved with crimes with various natures of courts and their family members, prosecutors and their family members, with the principal sex offenders campus, intercities, as the ones further and recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering, uses of the corners of that street, uses of the corners of other streets, uses of the field near one of the victims of the World Trade Center attack. And God, I hate saying that because I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And that was a good guy, from what I know about him. So they don't let people be nice and good. And they when they are, they have it conformed. They have the counters. They have that. So what we have is if we have 50 states, just 1,000 places in a state. That's 50,000 places where we could put 50,000 families where we can then afford, not through through means that we can't afford now, individually grouped it together, to build an identity of the grounds relationship, the value between that and our value of fact treatment nature foundation. That's like a trinity bonded. The trinity is bonded, has a value/value nature relationship to itself, which is itself is values nature. The identity of value progression, that is each identity of value progression individually grouped together. They have a simultaneously distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous and sequential relationships ship/s to each other, to and as each other. The identity of forever nature, that is making more of that by making more of temporary/lasting space nature. Only the extent of this is debatable. So we are recorded with CNN, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. It's not personal. This is what is recorded. They are insulated. If you try to ask them over Facebook, they pretend Facebook and online is not real because of their roles with locations, areas, and states database racketeering. That is recorded. They're lying about the substance of what we type online because they're racketeering with overt criminal enterprises, with foreign and domestic military. The American military is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with the Kuwaiti military, with the people through time, involved racketeering with deans, with their family members, with the friends of their family members, involved with racketeering on and off campuses, worse than racketeering. So they also use the crime method of pretending people make conspiracy theories, while more and more they're preventing any of these crime acts from being reported by forging names and switching names, not just with locations, but with the courts, interbranch, forging names, switching names, online, switching sequences too. New Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they have then and now their Facebook stewards involved with sexual, medical, and judicial racketeering with child sex offenders. Also with Wethersfield Police Chief's family involved with that, and their roles with wire crime methods, wire crime acts, mail crime methods, mail crime acts. That's why it's necessary for the Attorney General to wake them up on Wethersfield campuses, because each of the campuses have houses next to them, have businesses next to them with families of recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this racketeering through time, and that was his use to pull it off. So that's relevant now, because there are further then and now with the principal sex offenders campus, with people who live around and tied to this. I don't even know with this Anthony Agman, his brother, his family, his brothers, his family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with other houses around that Samuel Dick's house like them, right next to the high school through time. all sides of the high school. One's on the other side of Winter Green in the Woods, like a Chris Walters, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved racketeering with the child schools there, with racketeering on and off, with houses on all sides of the high school, with drugs with them, with falsified police reports, rolls, fake sides of that, the fake sides of body of value treatments involved with Chris Walters, also with his wedding, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with a whole bunch of people with racketeering with judges and with their sheriffs and with military, foreign and domestic. Washington, D.C. type rules, racketeering on and off CCSU, on and off intercampuses all along the route. He's also involved with a Paul Kelly. I don't know if with that area. I never saw them together. I never had anything to do with Paul Kelly either. I barely know him. He just made a whole bunch of confessions to me as a kid, and that were exploited when I was going by there in relationship to their uses of Trinity College and of the locations and the houses and businesses and fire department next to it. Further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them. Also the stewards of apartments and stuff like that. So we have policing training of shared nations, shared together, trained off campuses as well as on campuses, where that was originally still criminally foreign influence, used to keep identities criminally foreign influence, each identity grouped and all together as the American body, as the species body, here and there. They use this as identity racketeering. They're pretending to be about against. They know that everything they're extortion natures, counter extortion natures, and that self value rolls with that effectively with what is fluent through each nation. So it costs us nothing. See, this changes the nature of charity and everything. They keep charity where it's needed. People. That's why one of the reasons why President Obama is wise to put on pre-existing conditions on there, because a lot of those pre-existing conditions, even if they weren't created by all that recorded originally, still medical racketeering with the various natures of courts, with the various natures of political families, mayors retired and standing, higher political people. There's no O'Neill also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU with military people and with the interbranch senators. There was a senator relative of Mr. Larson in my algebra class, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated having been by people associated with him, like the Domain brothers and people associated with them, and with Anthony Agman. They're further involved with database racketeering, drug crimes, racketeering through time, intercampuses connected, as people involved with racketeering on and off Fox Connecticut News, racketeering with people associated with the buildings next to Fox Connecticut News, racketeering with a whole bunch of people from a Club Blue and from, they change the names all the time, all the clubs downtown. Nothing personal against the club owners, except for the people associated with these Mendez police and with this Dillon family. There's an Allegro's Cafe, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with identity thefts with the Faenza family, with the judges and with the sheriffs and the family members. There's a mother of a sheriff called one of the Joshuas too, another Joshua, but the Joshua Stryker, that one also involved Joshua Stryker, Joshua Julian. See, the sheriff's mother, Joshua Schumack, and a whole bunch of boys and girls tied to him, who I don't even know. They pretended illusions when they had me go come by here, and they have people see my face. These are people involved with shit since before they were sheriff, since they were involved with racketeering also on and off Goodwin Park, with the House and /S, with the extended family members further involved with various natures of courts, with their family members with them, with racketeering, with child sex offenders, medical offenders, their crimes with overt criminal enterprises with the area, Los Salitos, Italian racketeering groups, also associated with the Witness Protection Program, also associated with a forensics location, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also people involved with that further then and now, further involved with child sex offenders. As the people involved with that, with their narratives, like a Joshua Julian, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with racketeering confessions also in a deposition from people tied to former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, who were pretending the same nature, the same racketeering acts with him on and off a principal sex offenders campus when that was forcing it not to be told on, even though it was recorded. They're lying about what is actually recorded. Now, this is former director of the FBI. And the people that also, other people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated Joshua Julian's involved with racketeering with them. Not using that name like that, but they used his name in it. And he recorded, confessed, demonstrated this is true with his racketeering roles with the courts, online, recorded, on and off campuses. That forced the principal sex offender. There's an officer poison. There are a whole bunch of male and female state police and their family members also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the houses in my area and tied to the house in my area. Further with this Dylan guy, with his former a reported partner, one of the people involved with the Wethersfield police chiefs, and then further with houses in my area, with racketeering, with child sex offenders, with drugs with them, untimely deaths that brought up the child sex offenders, as well as New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page rolls with it, rape threats, sequence shifts, confessions inside, outside the courts of roles with that, with other natures of racketeering, like with these two Mendez police, with falsified police reports from a whole bunch of different cities they used to pretend they're making mistakes with police reports, and they kept switching the officers' names from different cities. So human trafficking roles, also with the human trafficking acts of WFSB. WFSB recorded with CNN, also coaching a Trantolo and Trantolo to sequence shifts into racketeering with the Congress involved with this through time with an O'Brien family and with people with the various identities of sciences at CCSU recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, also with their kids involved with racketeering, with Mike Pandolf and his brothers recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with racketeering on off CCSU, on off Trinity College before the Trade Center attack, as people involved with it since the Trade Center attack. So we need to have people follow mandated law, and we have to have countered all the falsified police reports and fake things in databases that Congress is using while they're involved, leveraged against presidents, forced to roles with them, as they forced President Barack Obama, who is a remarkable man, better than me in many ways, but not here, not with this. I got them cold. No one in the world is going to tell this better than me here. This is our plan. This is our real American. The scientists share an identity. Since before the Obama administration, thank God for it, they effectively kept states and areas leveraged against whoever takes that position. This is per the same method that keeps kings and pharaohs from prevented free speech. Oh, how could they be prevented free speech? Because they're forced to entertain states and areas already in collusion, criminally foreign influence. Delusions are only capable of being live progressions from each database relationship in relationship to each standing identity of correlation nature, each age of it. So we have to deal with how Congress is preventing mandated law and their sequence racketeering. They're preventing free speech. They already have prevented it criminally. They're pretending not to realize by pretending the experts have the credibility they know they don't, outside of courts. So when it comes to in courts, those sequence treatments they have criminal readings of statutes. Then you give them the benefit of the doubt. CNN has a whole family of lawyers associated with as a Trantolo and Trantolo, also involved with them with racketeering with agencies on off Fox Connecticut News and on off WFSB locations, And they're wanting me, need me to call this out further and further. I'm going to go into agencies. I don't even know the family's names. They need to pretend they had a conversation with me. It's going to hurt you guys. In other words, don't pretend that it's my fault. Get them to one name and sequence into branch. Fix the fake news, WFSB. The fake news you told with principal sex offender and with others, forcing it into branch. You did it with 2 Mendez police, a whole Kerr family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people in the Britain Superior Court and by Officer Jerry Miller, further involved with them with racketeering, with locations associated with the Witness Protection Program. These are also people racketeering with forensics locations and racketeering uses of that and roles with the killers and with fact treatment, with evidence racketeering when they had the killers and the needs to react to it in the past, as people involved with the confessions in the deposition as the co-defendants associated with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and their roles with racketeering leading up to and in a 2006 district court case in Connecticut, leading up to and in a case in Washington, in Washington, but also leading up to and in the Ninth Circuit, a case /S part of one before the Ninth Circuit. Someone had post-dated already inside the courts, time-stamped on time papers to make it look from inside the court, to make it look to the judges, the panel of judges, as if stuff had been handed in late. They also have other natures of racketeering and acting and things they said and native actions and reactions from people that were associated with physically going to the location with the defendants and the plaintiffs and the defendants. In other words, witnesses of the plaintiffs are involved with racketeering uses of them against me and against others, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, and since to hide their life progressions, as WFSB has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering also with judges on off the state judicial branch offices, involved with their narratives, where they're pretending to perceive things, pretending to record things, involved with their racketeering with the Fianza family. They're racketeering with people all along that route that goes by the state judicial branch offices, along that route that goes, the road that goes right by the judicial branch offices, right next to each other, parallel. Now this goes right through cities into Rocky Hill and Cromwell, all along that recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with the same house/S in my area, further involved with the principal sex offender with another sex offender's campus, further involved with a whole bunch of people on and off the Wethersfield town offices, on and off Wethersfield police department where they are now and used to be, on and off the fire departments, on and off the training of them. WWE. Don't take it personal. There's a Elena Davenport and our other people from CCSU recorded, like it's Heather Hansen, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated who are involved with racketeering with the World Trade Center, a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of ways, and with federal criminal code defendants, a former director of the FBI, and with them with racketeering on and off CCSU through time, on and off child campuses, database racketeering roles, and their roles with racketeering acts on and off Trinity College. I don't know if Heather Hansen went to Trinity College. Now there are a whole bunch of men and women associated with them with sexual circles, with their confessions about and roles with abuses of themselves and of others, with people that abuse them as their roles with them now with child sex offenders like DeMoros, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people tied to this Elena Davenport and to this Heather Hansen with racketeering uses of the Obama-Biden military, of the departments of CCSU associated with these administrations and interstates and intercities. We have the educational department further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with women who had a whole bunch their past boyfriends and or boyfriend and boyfriends too, and their husband involved with together. So they have all these motivations, natures, needs, and persuasions to want to keep things private. But these are people that never had conversations with me, pretended other. People are roles with the falsified police reports through time. The racketeering acts in cases already recorded. That's what's actually recorded. We have some sick courts. We have some sick police forms. Not by accident. They pretend integrity by contrast to other nations. Same nations they're in collusion with, like Russians. Same people shift pretending to be against crimes with Russians. He's recorded, confessed, demonstrated racketeering with uses of ground locations. A whole bunch of people tied to it as his sources, like a Leahy family. These are also people involved racketeering with Maine, with Vermont, New York City. New York City has some sick Justice Department people. These are people with what mayors, retired and standing, involved. You don't see that and how what built those people stacking in New York City was designed to cause negative value nature progressions, action natures. Effectively, that this breaching method had everyone blaming on other things others themselves, just like the Native Americans. They're right, but they're blaming it wrong. Our rights are theirs. Until their rights are liberated, it's got nothing to do. They used the casino, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated effectively. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. When you're demonstrating your sick fakes interbranch. See, this is worse than interstates too. Rhode Island recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of people from um, Connecticut boxing gyms, like the San Juan Center, involved with racketeering with a house in my area. With a whole bunch of people ties to them, with racketeering with the child sex offenders, and with the policing of the schools roles with it. There's a Phil Calo, who's one of the extended family members of a Ray Calo, and of his sister, a Tara Calo, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with intercities racketeering, not just with the Wethersfield police chief. And that house had a woman reportedly, the police chief years ago, his girlfriend lived there. Now, there's also, I don't know the last name of his grandfather. I believe his first name is Ray, also as his father's name, but that's from his mother's side. When his father called, his name is Ray, and his Ray. They also have that involved with, like, there's 1989 Reader's Digest article by Eugene Meffin. This is involved also with their recorded racketeering uses of Washington courts, and of the sensibilities of these courts. Each one of them, each individual grouped together, recorded delusions wrought, criminally foreign influence, sequence racketeering natures, real much worse. These are people on and off the state judicial branch, not just on and off the state judicial branch office, but also on and off the state prison offices with database racketeering, with names of people I don't know at all and people I barely know. I just remember them because of everyone speaking about them. They come into your thing because they make a fact cheaping nature record. You're going to say you know people you don't, and those are people that involve me, putting me to fake locations, fake ties to themselves, as people next to the state judicial branch offices, like a Dave, associate with his family, and like with this Demoro family and the Cololo family, and with a Cuddy family. Recorded, confessed. I never had a conversation with one of the Cuddy brothers in my life. They're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also with people in Cromwell. Like, they have bars in any location where there are bars and stuff. They have that involved with racketeering, where they're furthering lie progression cover-ups from police report fabrications. They have prosecutors, retired and standing, male and female, like a Brian Silver, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with racketeering with people in court, in New Britain Superior Court, and enter campuses through time, and with the principal sex offenders campus. Now, this is a person who had his parents involved with him and his friends with racketeering with kids when I was a kid. Fake conversations with me, fake relationships to me with doctors. They also had WFSB hide their lie progressions from that because they told lies about such through other kids with this, as the ones that involve with racketeering use roles, acts, and uses of Trinity College and of CCSU before Mr. Obama was made president, before Mr. Biden was made military leader of recorded military, effectively originally still criminally foreign influenced. There were a whole bunch of people with state police at the end of the Berlin Turnpike recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering on off Trinity College, on off CCSU, with racketeering uses of at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, the Goodwin Park Golf Course, places all around it. That gravestone place, the family of theirs, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with various natures of courts and campuses associated, and people on off Fox Connecticut News, on off WFSB involved with racketeering with a Dr. Shube and with other deans and their families associated with racketeering with other nations, and right through the people that, like, we have modern language. You need a lot of things to translate when you have hundreds of sick nations together, and then you have problems you have to translate. So they have those people criminally foreign influenced. They have the method that keeps them criminally foreign influenced here. So they have the diplomats pretending they have the ability to free speech here, when they don't have it there, and over here no one has the ability to free speech, and they value the extortion there so they can keep us from no free speech here. Using the identity, they have the diplomat, that woman they brought up with the Ukraine. She's involved with them with sequence racketeering, with Ukraine, with the Ukrainian social places, on off UPS, on off these other database racket, the shipping racketeering. They have a Jensen family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by an Oliveira family and by others tied to them involved with racketeering with the FBI, with the CIA, with child defenders, with Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, a whole bunch of people on off Hangdog Lane, where it runs into Two Rod Highway, involved with. That's also one of the street people associated further with the principal sex offenders campus. As people further with that evolved then and now, on off the middle school, on off the other child campuses in town, the high school, through time, as people involved with these racketeering methods bonded, on off Trinity College, on off high school, on off CCSU, on off UConn connected. There's a Mr. Neville also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, also a Thomas Potter. I don't know a Thomas Potter. He's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with people in his family involved with agencies and people with judges on off the Southstein Middle School, with racketeering with them. He's also on YouTube pretending to know me. Like with this, a whole bunch of people tied to a Casper family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with agencies and military people with identity thefts, and with its ties to a pattern of racketeering, pattern of identity thefts, all kinds of bad things with the clubs downtown Hartford, as the people involved racketeering uses of the clubs in Cromwell, all the way from the Wethersfield judicial branch offices all the way along that route right to there. Goes right there by where one of the streets off that is associated with WFSB. No, they are preventing me free speech. They attach me to fake locations. They attach my family to fake locations, fake words, fake ties to other people, fake sequence relationships. So WFSB and them, people associated with them, with Fox Connect, with CCSU, and their timed ad placements, like with the Aiello family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with drug crimes, with racketeering with prosecutors and with judges, and with the DeMoro family, on and off Trinity College with their family, on and off CCSU with their family, with the racketeering acts, on and off the fire department next to that, on off the house next to it, like a Bellucci, a family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the Allo family, with a whole bunch of other people with racketeering acts roles into departments at CCSU and the business offices. Respond for them. Now, these are people with their training foreign and domestic people to deal with identities of jobs in relationship to criminal justice, in relationship to all kinds of all the identities of experts we have, originally and still individually grouped together, worse than criminally incompetent, delusions raw. Free speech. Get me from the fake words, WFSB. WFSB also has the people that worked for this lawyer, these lawyers, and judges involved with them. Don't forget that. Not just with their advertisements, but their racketeering acts, uses of their locations with this Trantolo and Trantolo. Respond for them. They are also with the racketeering with Russians here and pretending to be against that with election crime spots, Weathersfield town offices. No, the Weathersfield Police Department used to be right there where the library is too. Know that they're the new and past location further involved with them with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic nations. Afghanistan. Please respond for the people associated with Weathersfield Town Library, associated with this, a whole bunch of men and women associated with this, with intercities, the Morrow families involved with racketeering acts with child campuses, and further on off the Stolstein Middle School with a Dr. Graham and other male and female doctors and judges, various nature courts, physical delusions raw, evidence racketeering acts with them. Get them onto paper. Don't have, because these are also people involved through time with racketeering uses of on and off Trinity College with these other nations. Afghanistan, for example. These are people with war crimes, for example, with the military police. People associated with the state police further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the racketeering narratives of people on CCSU, Trinity College, confessions to me about things on off campuses, including Dr. Shoup. Know how it was off campuses, he made the confessions too. Because this is how they use the identity campuses from off of it. Everyone pretending to be about pride. Everyone pretending to be about. I'm not talking about the gay pride. They have pride. They have that. They have gay group rights. They have those people involved with them with racketeering, with the people in my area, further involved already, whole careers, and then they went on to other things like lobbyists. We have lobbyists that were already involved with justice racketeering, all kinds of natures of racketeering acts with the cases and from that further and further. So the only news that is true is here. Everything else is with sequence shifts. Anthony Wall. We're going to use the ancient gaming system to counter this. We're going to show how modern nations are in the same ancient trap. So we could do that. We have to do this. If we just do this as America, it's not even, it's great. Make 1,000 places, no problem, if we're all on the same page in one state. 50,000 spots, nice. For how much time we need to gather all the elements we need for free to make an identity of infrastructure, identity of relationship to the grounds, identity of value progressions, identity of relationship to itself, that is evolutions. Identity of relationship to itself, that is evolution's fruits and gifts from nowhere, means, one way redeems. They use the phrases like ways and means. They use phrases like the perfect world, effectively to keep little. I just got a committee position. First, I got elected. Now I'm a committee position. We have sick victim predators of sick campuses. We have the males and females distinctly sick to keep their actual value from having free speech, to keep them identities of the ground relationships using their real identity in ways you can't defend that and defend each age of fact, cheap nature hurt with uses of their identity, like being a girl, being a boy. They're hurting boys and girls sickly distinctly. So a whole bunch of people with the Della Fera family also recorded and themselves recorded, confessed, demonstrated concern. They have the Spada family also involved with them. Now, it's nothing personal, Spada. You need to pretend this. These are, I need to have, because you guys called up Mr. Biden per the radio. You asked him to go to a prom with you or whatever, something like that. Now that's also the timing of that is also with those wire crime rolls with the various networks used remotely. And this is worse than extortion because no one wants to tell on a network. Then you can't advertise. They're spreading lies with the fake news. So we have means, and we're going to claim bottom above what it is now. And we're going to watch what's self-valuing, what's claimed now. Free. That's not free. Oh, so I get the Attorney General now for us. We get the Attorney General now. I followed all the steps. And not only did I follow all the steps, the FBI recorded themselves involved with juxtaposed many natures of racketeering acts with cases, with mail crimes, wire crimes against each age of fact-sheet nature. And not just alone. We have CIAs and their family members involved with them. Same, all ties to the same house slash S with the extended family members involved with racketeering, with forensics locations further with the principal sex offender. Like we have state of Connecticut forensics location with doctors recorded with physical delusions and with racketeering acts with the principal sex offenders campus and with their databases and with drug crimes, formal and informal drug crimes. And I'll give you guys the affidavits, but it's also recorded how they are racketeering acts against all kinds of people, their patients and criminals. Whole bunch, all their the sources tied to them, like a Leahy family, people associated with I don't know their last names, but they're associated with a Ray Reynolds, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the FBI and CIA and military racketeering cliques involved with racketeering with federal criminal code defendants of former director of the FBI and interstates with Vermont involved with intercities, Connecticut racketeering, uses of like Middlesex Community College also with their roles with interdepartments racketeering like criminal justice. So respond for them. These are also all kinds of medical racketeering. These database racket, especially because medical racketeering, no one's supposed to speak about it or be able to see it. So they're using it they're exploiting anomaly in relationship to what we're going to counter, which is them not following mandated law because they're caught and because of how they were already used. So they need to use further and further, only capable of being negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Each identity of the ground location rolls with it as self value, not by accident.